Good morning, Adam.
Well, good morning, David.
Nice to have you join us.
Thanks for having me.
So, today on our Facebook group, we're doing a live presentation with Adam, and I thought it would be helpful for the women in our Facebook group to hear what it's like for a good man who's who's married and how he responds to his wife after she took our relationship course and started making the changes in herself first. So the title of our program today is How a Good Man Responds When His Wife Changes First. So my name is David Cope, and I'm a co-founder of a New Life Center with my partner Peggy Litt. I got involved in relationships when I got a divorce in the year 2000. I told myself I didn't want to be on my deathbed and wishing I had a loving and intimate relationship with another woman. So I've been spending the last 15 years teaching myself and others how to build a relationship with himself because I realized that a loving, intimate relationship first has to start with me. That in order for me to have the relationship with my partner, Peggy, I have to have a loving and intimate relationship with myself. So the foundation of our relationship class at a New Life Center is that I have to take responsibility for my own happiness and my relationship with myself and bring that into my relationship so that I can have a healthy relationship. So Adam is here today. Adam, can you give a little bit of a background on yourself and how excited you are to be here today? and,
I'm very
and
excited.
okay.
And David, thank you so much for putting this program together. I met David years back. I was working in alternative therapy, working with clients, and David actually called me one day out of the blue and invited me to a grief and loss seminar. And that's how our work together began. And my wife has taken his relationship course, and David invited me on to kind of give my feedback, what my experience has been like since she's taken this course.
No, good. Thank you, Adam. So let me just take a minute and remind our listeners what our principles are of our Facebook group and our relationship course. The first is that you are responsible for your own happiness. Nobody can make you happy. And in our relationship course, we teach you how to find happiness within yourself and bring that to your relationship. The second part is that you can only change yourself, and trying to change your husband or thinking that your husband is responsible for the experience of your marriage is creates a trap. So in our relationship program, we realize the only person that you can change is yourself. And the third principle is authentic intimacy begins with a relationship with yourself, and we teach you how to create a healthy relationship with yourself and create intimacy within yourself so that you're not looking to your husband to to make you feel loved and accepted, that you find that within yourself and are no longer being needy, dependent on your husband to provide that for you. So, Adam, I think I'd like to start off with the concept that we're working with in our relationship program is that our program only works when a woman is married to a good man. Can you describe yourself as a good man and what a good man is like and how he thinks?
Absolutely. I know myself as a good man. What makes me a good man is my devotion to my relationship, and my devotion to myself. Um, I like to go all in. I don't look for other ways out of my relationship. I just want to make that the best I can. Um, so the mentality is I want to do everything I can to make my wife happy so that our relationship can grow.
And so some of the other things, are you out late at night or do you
Uh,
have, are you pretty consistent being home or, what what is your priority in your life?
uh, in creating a good life, a good, healthy life for myself. I'm not out late at night. I don't do the bar scenes or anything like that. I'm faithful. I'm very, very good to my wife. Um, yeah, just taking care of ourselves, being the best I can be, showing up the best I can.
Good. So, again, for our listeners, our relationship course only works when you have two basically good people trying to make a relationship work, and that the husband is a good man, as opposed to what we call a bad boy or a man who isn't trustworthy and it doesn't have a sense of loyalty to the relationship. So what we want to talk about today, Adam, is what was it like being married to your wife before she took the relationship class?
Mm. It was tough. It felt like being a stranger in my own home. I felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells. Any conversation that I wanted to start, any engagement that I had, never felt right. I always felt like I was in the wrong in one way, shape, or form. Um, um, yeah.
So one of the words that we work with in helping women understand how their relationship has got, they feel trapped, and because women say, well, it's like I'm living with a roommate. All the passion and all the excitement is gone. And what we're trying to help the women understand is that it's very common when a woman is with a good man that she emasculates her husband, and in emasculation she puts up walls to protect herself, and this in this process it pushes their good man, their husband, away. Can you share what it's like to be emasculated by a woman in a marriage as a good man?
Absolutely. My experience most often showed itself in my wife just completely shutting down, whether was walking into the house or already sitting there waiting for her to get home. Walking in and trying to greet her, trying to be open with her, maybe start a conversation, and there was just nothing there at all. Again, anytime I would try and start a conversation, I would be shut down. Anything that came out of my mouth would just be wrong. It would be the wrong thing to say, the wrong time to bring it up. And so what my experience with myself is that I just stopped trying. I just didn't want to try anymore. It felt too vulnerable, and it just hurt too much to be shut down over and over again.
So often one of the things we find in working with women over the years that they don't realize that men have feelings.
Mm.
Uh, can you share? Oh, I have a little bit of a glitch here. Maybe I lost Adam. Technically, um, maybe Adam lost his connection. So we'll just wait till we find Adam can find his way back on here, and I'll be doing some talking while we fix this technical problem. It's so we were talking about often women think when they're a good man that it's the man that's causing them not to be connected to, and they're the one that's pulling away, and they feel there's a loss of intimacy. And what we're trying to show is that when there you are.
Hi, David.
Okay, a little technical glitch. I was trying to ad lib while you were gone.
Thank you.
Okay, so we were talking about um, when you're a good man, you have feelings, and often women don't even realize that their men have feeling, and when they're treating them by putting the walls up and finding fault in their husbands, that the husband is actually feeling all of this, and they're withdrawing. So can you explain about how you have feelings and how hurt your wife may hurt you when her walls were up?
Absolutely. There's no difference between men and women. We all have feelings. We all have things going on inside of ourselves. Um, men maybe just or I myself maybe I don't wear them on my sleeve, maybe I don't always put that first or lead with that, but there's always something going on inside. I have reactions to everything that's happening around me. And I think in relationships, when you feel shut down or you feel wrong for everything that's coming out of your mouth, you're just, you know, I just, in that case, I always shut my feelings down. um, and it's not like they go anywhere. They're still there. They're still present, and um, yeah, it just creates a really uncomfortable experience of your relationship.
Thank you. So one of the hard things that for in our relationship is women to say, well, what about you? Why is it my responsibility? How come this is put on me? And we often talk about being a victim, and how when in our relationship course, we we teach that when you think that somebody else is the source of your unhappiness, that you're a victim.
Mm.
And it's hard often to women to understand that if I change myself and how I respond to my husband, if I am with a good man, then my husband will respond back to me in a new and different way. And it's hard often for women to understand that women have to change first,
Mm.
because they're the ones, when they're a good man, that they have their walls up and they're in protection mode, that they have to let the walls down so that the husband can feel safe again and the husband can make changes. Can you talk about how, when your wife took this relationship class and her dropped her walls, that it allowed you to change without you actually working on yourself or doing anything?
Absolutely. When my wife, when I could see those walls start to fall down, immediately I felt better. I felt safer. I felt like I could engage and not be wrong. I felt um, like I felt like it was okay. It was safe to be me, and I was okay in this relationship. She came across as soft and approachable.
And what is that? We talk a lot about what does soft feel like as a man, good man, in when your wife drops her walls. What does soft feel like to you, and how do you respond differently to your wife when she has walls up? I know often women say, not only do I have walls up around my heart, I have barbed wire on those walls. What's it like when those walls are gone and you're responding and you reacting to softness to your wife?
Is approachable. You feel I feel like I can approach and I won't be pushed back. I won't be run off. It doesn't feel prickly like barbed wire around her heart. It feels like something that you can step into. Um, it's like yeah, it's like her being open to you for the first time. There's a sense of joy as opposed. It's like joy replaces fear in that situation for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, what other changes have you seen in your wife since she took the relationship course that you would like uh, to say how things have been changing in your marriage?
Uh, it's like night and day. I see her engaged in herself. She doesn't look to me to actually show her what it looks like to take care of herself, what it's like for her to have a good time. She goes out and does that for herself. She has an appreciation for herself, and she steps into those things. And she doesn't do it. I guess this would be a big difference that I've experienced. She doesn't do it from a place of in spite of me. She does it in a place of mutual respect for where I'm at.
Hmm.
Um, she again respects where I'm at. She's soft, she's warm. Yeah.
And so, how is that changing the dynamics of your marriage? Because you're not, you haven't gone to marriage counseling where you're learning techniques like communication skills, or you're not learning about love languages. You're not learning about her needs and his needs and all that stuff that you might learn from a therapist or book. The only thing that's changed in your marriage is that your wife now is building a relationship with herself and she's dropping her walls. how is that changing the experience of your marriage?
It's an entirely different marriage. I would say the confusing thing that I experienced going into marriage is that I thought this is exactly how it's supposed to be when it wasn't. It was very, very confusing. Now that we're at this point in our marriage, um, it feels exactly how a marriage is supposed to be. It feels like we have a partnership, like we're actually building something together. We're working in a mutual direction. Um, it's actually one thing that I noticed that I thought was really, really interesting is that the more she engages in herself, the more I get to turn that around and engage in myself. I get to be my own person in my relationship as well. One thing that I found very, very challenging, but in a very, very positive way, is in a relationship where I feel like I'm constantly shut down or I constantly have to fulfill the needs of someone else, I forget about myself. Any
Mhm.
hopes, any dreams that I have for life are essentially squashed. I just push them aside. I forget that I have dreams, things that I want for myself. And
Mhm.
now I am pushed to actually discover what those dreams are for myself. And it's like getting life back. It's like getting everything that I wanted for myself back.
So if I hear you, Adam, you had a when you got married. How, by the way, how long have you been married, and how long have you been in a relationship? Probably should have
Um,
said that a little earlier.
absolutely. We just celebrated our fourth anniversary back in early August. And I suppose we've been together for about 9, maybe 10 years.
Okay, great. So what you're saying is you, as a man, you had a vision of what a marriage was supposed to be like, and then when you actually got married, it was something totally confusing that you didn't understand.
Absolutely.
And then when your wife took the course and started working on herself, the marriage then began to become what you always had imagined that your marriage would be like.
Exactly. Yeah. We have
And
we have this vision.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And why is it that in this dynamic that all that had to happen was your wife needed to change first? I think that's what people struggle like, well, what about the man? Why doesn't he have to be responsible for changing? Why does it have to be on the woman's shoulder? And I don't, often women get very confused. And can you share why that works so well when your wife changed and you were just doing the same things? How did that dynamic work? Why does it work that way?
Well, the way I understand it, and please feel free to help me through this if need be, but my understanding is that a person in a relationship has 100% responsibility to make that relationship what they want.
Hmm.
You can't rely on the other person to make that relationship what you want. You have to always start with yourself.
Hmm.
And yeah, so if I know myself as a good man, I want for my wife to have the life that she wants. I know as a good man, I'll do anything to help it move in that direction. But I think it's my wife's responsibility to know what it is, find out for herself what it is that is going to make her happy in life, so that she can begin walking in that direction. I'm there 100% to support her,
Hmm.
but she has to know what she wants for herself.
Hmm. Great, thank you, Adam. So, what can you describe? What your marriage is like now, and what how you see your future in your marriage.
Absolutely. I think for the first time, we actually are beginning to see our goals. We're beginning to see what we want. We want to buy a house. We want to make sure that we have a future built for ourselves. We we're actually making plans to actually making plans happen for ourselves. Whereas
Hmm.
before it would just kind of spin out of control because there was no real foundation, but around what we were doing.
Thank you. So, as a good man, we say that if a woman's married to a good man, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have his own issues that he needs to work on. What are some of the issues that you know that now that your marriage is beginning to be in a constructive way, that you're taking initiative to working on yourself to change, to support your wife and your marriage. Whereas what you're saying is when your wife was treating you with her walls up, you closed down and shut down and disappeared in your marriage. What are the things that you're doing to support your marriage now that your wife has changed?
Um, I would say that uh, first and foremost, making myself financially responsible for my relationship. I work quite a bit. I work two jobs to make everything happen that we need to make happen, so that we can build the future that we want for ourselves. Constantly looking at myself to see where I need to step up, where I'm falling short. And I think the biggest difference that I'm seeing as far as that's concerned is I want to do this.
Oh.
I want to. I'm all in.
Mm.
Whereas, as I said before, there's always kind of leaving that one foot dragging behind. I don't know how this is going to work out. I want to change. I want to be who I need to be for myself and for my wife.
Yeah. And so that then kind of come from the place of when your wife changed
Mm-hmm.
and you were able to see that there's a possibility. So you were all in. What about all the resentment and pain that happened in your marriage when her walls were up and you felt like you couldn't do anything right, and that no matter what you did she would find fault? What happened to all that pain and resentment that must have built up?
David, I think that's one of the most remarkable things that I've seen about this is that it just went. It's like it just goes away. It's not something that you find yourself carrying around or resenting the other person for. As soon as you see that she's willing to step up and she's willing to make those changes, that resentment and all that hurt and all that pain just fall away.
Yeah.
It's just not there anymore.
And it's interesting because in over the years of doing our research and study, Adam, at a New Life Center, one of the things we work with women is that they tend to stack their pain and their hurt and resentment on top of each other, and they put it aside so that they have this scoreboard of what you did to me. So at any time they need to pull out, they have this list of pains and hurts that the husband has done. One of the things we work with in our relationship course is helping women understand that men and women are different, and women and men see and understand themselves and life differently. And one of the fascinating things about a good man is that a woman can have her walls up and want to protect herself in the relationship for many years and push her husband away by having those walls up. But the moment she opens her heart, a good man will forget and that pain and hurt, and like starting fresh. Can take a little more time, Adam, and talk about what it feels like to have that fresh start in a relationship and not ever having to deal with hurt and pain, because that's such a common thing in marriage counseling, is to trying to wrestle with a hurt. You did this to me, and you did that to me, and it never kind of gets resolved. What's it like again as a good man to have a clean slate and start fresh and not have to deal with any of that?
I'd say the simple way to put that is it's like being in a relationship for the first time. You don't have all that other stuff coming forward with you. It's like you just get to start at the very beginning. It's like the first relationship you had, and the beauty of it is it's already going in the direction that in a healthy direction.
So again, it's almost hard to believe that the only thing that's happened to you, Adam, is that your wife has changed and let her walls down and opened up. And I can actually see in your smile on your face, like you have a fresh new marriage and you're all in, and all your wife had to do was change and be responsible for her own happiness and find her happiness within herself. Anything you want to add to that and kind of wrapping things up?
Well, I think when she's ready to be happy, when she's open to actually finding her own happiness, I can find my own happiness, and we can find it together. We have the joy of actually getting to experience that together. It's not fulfilling one person's dream. It's both people fulfilling their own dreams,
Oh,
getting to experience that together.
yeah.
I think that's a beautiful relationship to me.
So, Adam, is there anything different or special, do you think? I mean, you hang out with other good men. Do
Mhm.
you know other good men that are just like you and think and act and respond so that women don't think, "Oh, Adam is, there's something about Adam that's different. My husband would never be like that." And how can you explain how you relate to other good men and know yourself through them?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't. I'm definitely not an anomaly. I think there are a lot of really good men out there, and I am fortunate to where I'm surrounded by a lot of really good men. But yeah, it's not a strange thing. What I see is that men are oftentimes even good men are oftentimes just responding to their surroundings. They're not being provided with the opportunity to step into being a good man.
Okay, so I'm just going to remind our listeners that there isn't anything special about you, Adam, that makes you different than other good men, that you relate to good men and have male friends that are good men, and you understand that they feel the same way as you do in their relationships. Can you hear the other good men telling the same stories that you have when you talk to other good men? When
Absolutely. And from a standpoint of seeing some men that are still in relationships that have not made a transition, and the hurt and the pain, and you can still see it on the underside, how badly they want this to make this work for themselves and for their wives and for their families. Just that you can still see that pain there, and being around other men who have had wives who have or wives or girlfriends, relationships where the woman has made these changes for herself. They are just as happy as can be, and I see the same exact changes in them. The drive to make this the best thing for
Mhm.
themselves and their relationships.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Adam. I appreciate you coming in today. I'm just going to kind of wrap things up for our listeners, and and if you anything you like to add in summarization. At a new life center, what makes our program different is that when a woman is in a relationship or a marriage with a good man, that if she changes by building a relationship with herself, building intimacy within herself, and knowing her likes and dislikes by dropping her walls and opening herself up to be vulnerable in a relationship, if she changes in that way, which we teach in our relationship, if the woman is with a good man, it's almost like magic. Your relationship can change overnight because how your husband is responding to you will change in relationship to how much you've opened your heart and dropped your walls. And with a good man like Adam, he is eager and ready to be by your side and come out of his cave where he's hidden, because often women emasculate their men and push them away because they have their hearts open. And with a good man, a change can almost happen overnight. So we're in a new life center. Our program teaches the strategies and the steps in which a woman can take to find happiness within herself. Remember, happiness is an inside job and nobody can make you happy. And we teach you the steps of how to find yourself again so you can be yourself and be true to yourself and authentic in your relationship. And when you're a good man, the good man will step up and be there with you. Is there anything you'd like to sum up, Adam, for our female women viewers in closing?
Absolutely. Uh, we as good men, we're right there and we're waiting.
Yeah,
We're ready. We're eager to step, as you were saying, we're eager to step out. We're ready to, step up and be in the relationship.
yeah.
And yeah, we're just waiting for that opening.
Great. Thank you so much. And I appreciate everybody. If anybody that's listening would like to um, private message Karen Seitz or Peggy Litt, which are the sponsors of our Facebook Authentic Intimacy for Married Women, please private message Karen or Peggy, and they will get in touch with you and help you see how you can change yourself and make the changes within yourself. And Karen and Peggy will spend time with you, seeing the issues and challenges you have in your marriage, and see it for what it really is, the truth of it, and help you find a way to make the changes within yourself so you can have a new marriage and a new future of possibilities the marriage you always dreamed of. So thank you very much, Adam, for joining us. Thank you to our wonderful listeners, and have a wonderful day. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye bye.